Hello and welcome to the Allegro 2 Footbar exercise series. My name is Nora St. John, this is Portia Page, and we're going to show you some things to do now in position 4 with the Allegro Footbar. So position 1 is here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 is above the carriage. Portia's going to move our footbar into position 4 and then just slide it into position. This is one of my favorite series on the new Allegro 2. And for this one, we're going to change the weight to a red spring. So we have just one red spring on. Depending on upper body strength, you may go a little lighter, a little heavier on this one, but that's a good place for Portia to start. So we'll start here with reverse mermaid. Hand is on the footbar. Legs are in the same position they are for regular mermaid. You're simply holding the arm at the other end instead of holding it at the spring end. So here, there's lots of variations on reverse mermaid, one of my favorite exercises here. We'll start with just lifting and lowering the hip, creating some nice mobility of the femur and the hip socket, working through some external and internal rotation. This also helps to lubricate the hip, the pelvis, and the low back, and even the shoulder if you look at that whole exercise series there. Then once you've done that, you can kind of help to sit that sit bone down a little bit more, that back sit bone that likes to sit up. And now we're going to take some variations on reverse mermaid. So Portia's going to start with what we call seaweed ribs. So she'll lead down with the bottom ribs, and she'll lead up with the top ribs. And this helps to get some mobility through the whole spine, helps to loosen up all the ribs, all the muscles between the ribs, can kind of stimulate the diaphragm, make you breathe a little bit deeper, and feels really good too. Then from here we're going to come and do a rotation. So Portia's going to take the arm over, rotate towards the footbar, bring the other hand back a little behind her. And now from this position, just here is a really big stretch for a lot of people right through this whole side of the body. If that's not enough, or you want a little bit more, Portia can add a little pulling of the arms just to add some dynamic stretch to that whole exercise. Or she can start to add a whole reach through and under the carriage and look up at the ceiling. This actually feels really nice as well. This gets some nice mobility of the spine and the shoulder blades. Plus it has a very regal moment here with that beautiful profile, a la Cleopatra. So there is our reverse mermaid. And then a nice transition here is to go from reverse mermaid, swing around the legs until they're pointing underneath the footbar. Now this whole series has relatives in the trapeze table, relatives on the reformer, lots of other exercises that can be done here that feel quite different. So we're going to start with a rolling forward and then a rolling back. So Portia will start over the legs, and she's just going to come up all the way to sitting. And we're going to roll back down. So this is a roll up to sitting, basically. And this is a nice place to start to work on pulling the abdominals in, lining up the whole body right over the hips, getting some nice range of motion in the femurs. Now from that seated position, she can add either some shoulder pulls, so some scapula, some arm pulls, or else some scapula pulls, depending on whether you want to work the scapula, you want to work the whole arm there. And then to add a little bit more excitement, she can take this more as a spinal mobility exercise. So let's start from here. She's going to curl the tail under and send the carriage underneath the footbar, rolling back down. Now if you've got the length, which she does, she can come all the way down into the well if that's appropriate, bring the chin into the chest, and roll all the way back up. So you're going from spinal flexion into spinal extension. Let's take that one more time. Really flexing all the way through, all the way down. Beautiful extension into the well. Bring the chin back into the chest and roll all the way up. Now if that's too much for someone, you can simply go from this position into this position. So you're simply going to do a small roll, keeping the flexion going forward. And if you like, you can even go into some extension back if they have the range of motion. So here you're working on just a lumbar curl and then a lumbar extension, working through that beautiful range of motion in the body. Now while we're here, we have some other options. So if you remember water skier from the trap table repertoire, this is a lovely place to take a water skier. And here, instead of the bar moving, Portia has the whole carriage moving, which is a nice place to feel, honestly, that connection of the spine into the pelvis, into the legs. Very often people lose that ability to scoop from that whole back line. They'll do it just from the pelvis or just from the abs. And this helps you to integrate that whole line so you can get a really nice, beautiful, full body flexion through the back of the body. From here, we've got a couple of other options. You can do reverse mermaid now on the other side. And last time we played with seaweed ribs, so leading with the lower ribs to go down and the upper ribs to go up. Here, Portia's going to start with a hip lift on this side, just to get that nice and lubricated, ready to sit nice and tight. And now here, we're going to change the rib position. So instead of leading with the ribs, Portia's going to actually lean away. So she's going to start leaning towards the foot bar, and then she's going to actually, let's take this over the top this way. Yeah, so we have to want to do the reverse of that one. So you're going to lean over that way, and then send the ribs down as she goes up. So this is the opposite of the rib movement we were doing before with seaweed ribs. It still has the same fluid, snaky motion, but it feels quite different. Nice. There we go, and let's come around and we'll do our rotation here. And again, Portia can add the arm pulls, really allowing yourself to feel the stretch across the back ribs here. And then you can do the pull under, coming up into that beautiful profile on that side. Letting the hip sink all the way down. And curl that tailbone to bring you under. So again, working all the muscles of the core in a very dynamic way. This whole series is lovely for spinal mobility, really getting connected into the center of the body. So from the second set of reverse mermaid, we're going to turn around and come into some supine pull-ups. For this one, Portia's going to move very close to the front edge of the carriage with her hips so that her head will still fit on the headrest. The shoulders are gone, so she has full range of motion in her shoulders. From here, the knees will be in a nice tabletop position to start. Back is very neutral, abdominals are connected, and she's simply pulling herself underneath the bar. This is an exercise that we don't have very many places to do in the Pilates repertoire, and it's a really, really lovely place to get some strength through the side of the body, through the shoulders, and get a lot of core work at the same time. So arm positions we have wide, we have overhand, we have underhand, which is a little awkward, or one of our preferred position, which is one over and one under. And this one you can actually take and switch a little more dynamically, Portia, if you'd like to do a little bit of that. Yes, these are little mini jumps that we sometimes do here, just in the pull-ups. And now you can add to this any kind of lower body challenge you like. So adding just simple leg scissors, one leg up, one leg down, or adding some toe taps, or adding some leg lowers with both legs, more like you're going into an abdominal position or the hundreds position. You can also do froggies here, circles, any number of things just to increase the challenge to the core and to the lower back along with the upper body. So this completes the sequence on here of reverse mermaid on one side, the whole roll down series facing the foot bar on the other side or in the center, reverse mermaid on the other side, finishing with supine pull-ups. This whole sequence can take you several minutes in a series and give you a lovely way to get the whole body warm and moving, and particularly to focus on spinal mobility and strength.